Mysteries revealed. Sea of consciousness. After a deep and much-needed sleep, Nestor wakes to find that people are departing Eleusis and going back to their homes. He gathers his belongings and leaves the sanctuary to find food in the town. After eating a hearty meal, he needs to prepare for the next stage of his journey. People often sail between Eleusis, Aegina, and Epidaurus, so Nestor secures passage on a ship to the Argolis port. From there, he'll follow the road to the sanctuary of Asclepios. The ship leaves early the next day, so Nestor has time to talk with the other Mysti. He returns to the sanctuary. This will be the last time he can talk openly about the Eleusinian Mysteries. He discovers that the other Mysti have all had a similar experience, and the Kukion has had the same effect on them. Most of them believe they were transported to the underworld and the deities visited them during the ritual. Nestor learns that for the other Mysti, the initiation was a subjective, and not an objective experience. He realizes that this is what that night in the Telesterion is intended to be, an overwhelming event designed to subdue the critical mind and directly access the subconscious. The ritual allowed him to consciously experience his subconscious mind, and that was overwhelming. But he was able to objectively understand all that was happening, and he could remember everything he had experienced and what he was thinking while it was happening. Talking with other Mysti, the idea they all agreed on is that life has revitalizing power, and new life is created from old life. Life that has passed into the underworld supports new life, and the nurturing powers in the living world enables new life to reach its full potential. In this way, life is a cycle that connects the worlds of the living and the dead, and they benefit from each other through the powers of creation and regeneration. The Mysti also said their understanding of Hades had changed, and they had a more positive opinion of him than before. But they still feared his powers, and there was much debate about his abduction of Persephone. There were a wide range of opinions and beliefs the Mysti had about the underworld. On this topic, Nestor could not come to any conclusions, and eventually bids farewell to his fellow Mysti to explore his own thoughts. He decided to visit the Plutonian at the sanctuary to meditate on the underworld. When he arrives, the only person there is a priest, who allows him inside. Nestor had no fear of entering the shrine since he knew he was alive, and Hades only held the dead that entered the underworld. It was nightfall, and the cave at the back of the Plutonian was very dark. He found an alcove and sat quietly, lost in deep thought, as daylight faded. It seemed the priest had forgotten about him, since he realized he was alone in total darkness, back in the farthest recess of the shrine. It was also very quiet, and nothing seemed to exist except his own thoughts. An idea formed: this could be as close to being dead in the underworld as is possible while still being alive. Nestor held on to this perspective, and thought about what it would be like for this to be his eternal home. He realized how much he valued light since it allowed him to experience the living world. But he also valued the absolute darkness since it allowed him to be aware of the thoughts deep in his mind. He had just learned that the living bring light with them when they die, so he decided there would be light in the underworld. Another thought forms. Maybe deep in his mind there is a portal to the underworld, and until now he's not been aware of it. In the total darkness of the Plutonian, he's experiencing being in the realm of Hades the same as he did the night before during the ritual. But then, he had drunk the Kukion. Now, he is alone and isolated. Could it be, because he's in the Plutonian, he's been transported to the underworld? He is not sure what is real. Many thoughts come into his mind, and in the disorder and confusion that ensues, the long day catches up to him and he falls deep asleep. That night, he dreams of Selene coming to him as he sits in the darkness. The now familiar light is shining from her. As she gets closer to him, the world around him becomes visible. He's in a vast storehouse of everything that existed in the past, and the storehouse has become a resource for creating new things. Selene smiles and walks back towards where she came from. He watches the shining figure of Selene disappear in the distance and notices the light around him is still bright. Then the dream ends. Morning comes, and at the first hint of light, Nestor wakes up. Realizing he's still in the Plutonian, and his ship is leaving soon, he hastily leaves the sanctuary and goes to the port. There are other Mysti traveling on the ship, and this seems like an extension of the initiation into the mysteries. The ship sets sail, and is soon far out in open waters. It's a clear and sunny day, and Nestor is keenly aware of everything he's seeing. From the vantage point of the empty Saronic Gulf, he's presented with a view of the vastness of the world, and the diversity and complexity of what exists within it. Nestor contemplates the interconnectedness of all the individual things that make up his known world. He thinks about the things he's seeing but does not know. Then Nestor's thoughts shift to thinking about the visible world he sees above the water, and the hidden world under the water. It reminds him of recent thoughts about the visible world of the living and the hidden world of the dead. He realizes the known and unknown worlds of the underworld and ocean are allegories for how his own mind works. It's a revelation that he will always remember and think more about as time goes on. But at the moment, the rhythms of the ocean are calming, and Nestor passes the time thinking about his night in the Plutonian, and the world of dreams that exists in his unconscious mind when he sleeps. His quiet contemplation ends when the ship stops at Aegina to allow passengers to disembark and board, and to load and unload cargo. There's not enough time to explore the island, but Nestor uses the stop to become familiar with the port. It's a busy trade center, and there are many items for sale. One vendor has a beautiful oil lamp for sale, and he buys it as a gift for Selene. Nestor discovers there's a temple dedicated to Hecate on the island, and it has an apothecary with a wide variety of medicines, plant extracts, poisons, dyes, and other plant-based materials for sale. Nestor realizes this is a source of income for the temple of Hecate. He explores a little more, then goes back to the ship, and it's soon on its way to Epidaurus. After the short trip, Nestor arrives at the Epidaurus port and finds the marketplace. He purchases the supplies he'll need during his visit and starts walking to the sanctuary. During the trek, he thinks about the path his life is on, and about his future. Currently, he's been following in his father's footsteps, and he might become a philosopher or teacher. It's possible he could become a priest at a temple or shrine. Nestor has always enjoyed reading diverse texts, and becoming a scholar or librarian might be an option. He's still undecided, and has not found the one passion that will bring all his interests together into a single focus. He's hoping his visit to Epidaurus will help him discover what that is. Arriving at the sanctuary of Asclepios at Epidaurus, Nestor is amazed at its beautiful architecture and design. As he explores the site, he begins to appreciate the excellent engineering and planning of the structures. He finds the priests and asks them to admit him into the abaton so that he may be visited by Asclepios during incubation. They ask him why he is here, and what he will accomplish by sleeping in the Encoimaterion. He declares,
"The Asclepion of Epidaurus has become the most reputed of all Asclepia in Greece. I am healthy and fit, and I have not come here to heal my body. I am here because my mind is troubled by questions I have about the underworld. Asclepios resides in the underworld and he can visit the living in their dreams. I am hoping he will reveal the answers to these questions, and I will leave Epidaurus having obtained greater knowledge and a healthy mind."
Nestor is still wearing the wreath and ribbons that show he's been initiated into the Eleusinian Mysteries. The priests realize he has questions that the initiation has not answered. Consulting among themselves, they decide Nestor is a special case, and ask him more questions. When they discover Nestor's connection with Plutarch, they realize he has esoteric knowledge. The original temple at Epidaurus was dedicated to Apollo, as is the temple at Delphi, where Plutarch was one of the two priests. They agree to allow Nestor into the abaton, but only after the required preparations. There is one therapist fit to attend Nestor, and after payment to the sanctuary, they begin the process. The priests are pleased that the coins are stamped with the profile of Dionysus, an ear of barley, and the torch of Persephone. The next 2 days are spent bathing, eating ritual meals, exercising in the gymnasium, reading about prior cures, and meditating on dream incubation. Finally, he is admitted into the upper hall for the final preparation, and then down into the dark lower hall. It is like a descent into the underworld, and Nestor is reminded of his night in the Plutonian. He finds a good place to sleep and clears his mind of all thoughts except the questions he hopes will be answered. Being in the Encoimaterion has a powerful effect on Nestor's psyche, and there is a strong feeling of anticipation that makes it hard to fall asleep. Eventually, sleep comes, and then dreams. Nestor dreams he's in an empty place, a dimly lit void with no features. He does not know where he is, but he begins to think he's been taken to the realm of Hades. He is mortal, so he begins to feel afraid. Slowly, a luminous gateway begins to appear, while simultaneously the space inside the gateway grows darker. The gateway becomes bright and well-defined, framing a void of total darkness. From out of the darkness, Asclepios walks forward holding his staff until he is standing at the threshold of the gateway. He stands looking at Nestor and raises his hand in a commanding gesture. Around him, wisps of light and shadows appear, and begin to randomly swirl around. Holding up his staff, the wisps begin to orbit around the staff, forming complex patterns. The shadowy parts begin to fall away, and the light parts grow brighter. As the lights and patterns orbiting around Asclepios' staff become denser, Asclepios and the staff starts fading away. Soon, there is only a complex pattern of light rotating in space. Nestor is transfixed by what he is seeing. Then he notices a figure is beginning to appear within the lights. Slowly it becomes more distinct and takes on the shape of a person. As the human figure becomes clearer, the lights begin to fade and disappear. Finally, the only thing left to see is a person staring at Nestor. It is himself. He is startled by what he's seeing, it's his real self and not a reflection. The gateway starts to fade away and is eventually gone. Only the figure of Nestor remains, glowing with the same light he saw radiating from Selene. Nestor abruptly wakes up. Coming face to face with himself was startling, and he's unable to go back to sleep. It's morning, and as night turns to day, everyone else begins to wake up. He lays still, wondering about his dream, and what it means. He's very grateful, having the privilege of being visited by Asclepios. People are moving around now, and the therapist assigned to Nestor comes to attend to him. Nestor tells him everything that happened in his dream. The therapist is astonished by what he hears. After a long pause to think about what has happened, he says,
Asclepios brought you to the gateway of the underworld, and then came to meet you there. He has the power to summon ghosts that exist in the underworld, and direct them, but he cannot free them from the realm of Hades. Asclepios commanded the ghosts to bind themselves together around his staff, and integrate together as one. From the light within the ghosts, you appeared. Asclepios took the ghosts back with him into the underworld, and you remained at the gateway as a being of light. Now you are back in this world. Awake, alive, and healthy.
Nestor thought this was what had happened, and now it was confirmed by the therapist. But there were some things he didn't understand.
What's the connection between the orbiting pattern of lights and my luminous form? How did I appear, and what does it mean?
The light within the ghosts in the underworld was brought with them from the living world. As the ghosts integrated together around Asclepios' staff, the light within them became a single unified person, and it seems that this being was identical to yourself. I believe you've been shown that you have a place in the realm of Hades as a being of light.
More pieces of the puzzle fall into place after hearing this. Nestor senses a major revelation is imminent, maybe soon. He talks more with the therapist, but there's no new realizations or breakthroughs to be had. He leaves the Abaton, eats breakfast, and talks with other people visiting the sanctuary. It will be a few more days before Selene is due to arrive, so he spends time going to the theater, and listening to music. He writes notes about his recent experiences, and reads the scrolls he carries with him that contain the teachings of his favorite philosophers. He locates the shrine of Hecate so he knows where to watch for Selene. Then, one day, Nestor sees Selene leaving the shrine of Hecate. He goes to greet her, and she is happy to see he's here as promised.
Nestor, I am very pleased to see you. I hope your visit here has been good. Have you been here long?
Selene. I'm very happy to see you again. I have been here 5 days, long enough to have completed a dream incubation in the Abaton. It was a very beneficial experience. How was your journey? Did you stop at Aegina? There's a temple dedicated to Hecate there.
Yes, we took a ship here and stopped at Aegina on the way. The temple trades between many of the other temples and shrines, and this is one of my duties. After finishing the exchanges, we came here. It was a very pleasant voyage. The sacred snake has been returned, and I am free of duties now. I am surprised you were admitted into the Abaton so quickly. And I did not realize you have an illness.
I am not ill. My incubation was to seek knowledge from Asclepios to find answers to questions about the underworld. He came to me in my dream and enlightened me.
That is remarkable. Please tell me more about this.
Nestor recounts the relevant events that have happened since the initiation ritual. He tells Selene about the night in the Plutonian, his thoughts while on the ship, and the night in the Encoimaterium. He tells Selene what the therapist told him, and what he's concluded from the entire experience. She stands wide-eyed in wonder as she hears all that has happened. Nestor tells her that there is an important revelation to come, but he has not been able to obtain it.
We must talk more about this. I have thoughts that are the same as yours, and I too have questions I want answered. Let's meet when we can be alone, uninterrupted, and have as much time to talk as we need.
Yes, I would love to talk with you, and I'm available to meet at any time.
I can meet with you this afternoon at the Tholos. I know of many private places where we can talk, and we can go to one.
I will be there this afternoon. Farewell until then.
Nestor and Selene go back to their lodgings, eat a light meal, and prepare for their meeting. Nestor gets the lamp he's bought, then walks to the Tholos. It's a large circular building with an altar in the center. It's the focal point of the healing center, and under it are passages that lead to underground chambers. Deep under the Tholos is the home of Asclepios. As Nestor stands inside the Tholos, he remembers his dream in the Encoimaterium. He imagines all the vital forces in the living world gathering together and converging on the altar. Asclepios then integrates these forces into healing energy that radiates out to everyone that needs healing. Nestor's daydream is interrupted when Selene arrives. They greet each other and decide on a good place to talk. Selene leads him to a small building in a remote area of the sanctuary used for private meditation. He takes out the lamp and presents it to her.
I hope you will accept my gift. It honors the light I associate with you, and the illumination you bring to the world with your service to the goddesses.
Thank you, this is a very thoughtful and appreciative gift. Light is important to me, and I think about it often. I associate light with life, consciousness, understanding, and truth. We seem to share the same thoughts about light. Also, you can perceive a light in me that others cannot see. How do you explain this? Is this a special power you have?
I have no rational explanation. Sometimes my perception of certain objects, or people, is enhanced when looking at them, but you are the only mortal I see radiating this light. I saw it when we met on the portico and you poured me the koukion. I now believe this light exists to bring us together. But I saw the same light coming from Persephone as she picked daffodils, although I thought it was because I'd drunk the koukion. Does the koukion allow people to see this light?
The koukion allows people to experience worlds they cannot normally access. It allows people to perceive the underworld and events that happen there. What they perceive depends on what they are capable of perceiving and who they are. I've been taught how to prepare and use many plants by the priestesses at Eleusis, and I've learned how to mix the kukion. These plants are for ritual use. At the sanctuary of Asclepios, I will be learning to use plants for healing. At Aegina, there are devotees of Hecate that know the secrets of divinatory plants. These are for sacred and oracular use. I am studying them too.
As a devotee of Hecate, will you tell me more about her? I'm beginning to think she can unlock secrets I'm interested in.
Hecate is the goddess of magic and spells, light and darkness, ghosts and sorcery, and has the power to protect. Hecate can cross the threshold between worlds, and can see in all directions at once when at a crossroad. Hecate is the liminal goddess that mediates between the mortal and divine worlds, and watches over the boundary between the two. Her tokens are torches, keys, and snakes. She witnessed the abduction of Persephone and assisted in the search for her with a torch in each hand. Now she accompanies Persephone in the underworld when she is there.
I understand your devotion to Hecate. She can stand within any world, and also within the threshold between them. Clearly, she has knowledge of what unites and separates them. I would want this knowledge too. And it is likely she has knowledge of what exists in all places. I am most interested in her ability to see all things at once at the boundary where they come together. This is the essence of a mystery I'm hoping to understand. I have learned many things from studying the teaching of the great philosophers, and this knowledge is valuable and useful. But I feel it is not complete, which is why I've been seeking answers in new places. The quest has taken me to various sacred places, and to Eleusis, and now at Epidaurus.
Will you tell me what you've learned that's most important to you? I'm interested in knowing what is the true self, and how does it comprehend everything?
This is a question I also have. From my father, I learned secrets that Plutarch shared. Plutarch was a priest at the temple of Apollo at Delphi and knew many of the secrets that only the Pythia, the Pythonesses, and priests knew. The Pythia believed there was a vast world that was inaccessible to the rational mind, or the mind while awake. It was only accessible when they were in a trance or asleep. The trance that the Pythia entered was caused by vapors that came up from a fissure under her tripod. The vapors had the same effect on the priests, and they understood the effect it had on the Pythia. The statements from the Pythia were often enigmatic, but the priests knew how to interpret what was said. They knew the divine communication coming from the Pythia required an experienced and rational mind to understand the true meaning so that it could be delivered to the questioners. This led me to believe that the true self exists in both the waking world and the world of sleep and dreams, and is what experiences these worlds. Written on the temple of Apollo is the inscription, "Know thyself." This is commonly understood to mean, at all times, see yourself as you really are, and see yourself as others see you. This requires having a sense of self that has a high degree of objectivity while having a subjective experience. The priests knew the hidden meaning. That an individual self is a synthesis of every self that exists, and is more than an individual's identity. The true self is the integral whole created by the unification of every self that has existed. There is also a transcendent self. Plutarch believed the gods, and the powers that serve the gods, are merely different names for one divine being. We are part of this divine being, which is within us. Therefore, to know thyself is to know this divine being. I've thought about this, and wondered, what is it that is knowing the self? This seems to be the same question that you're trying to answer. Perhaps together we can find the answer.
Yes, this is something I wish to know. And we are both seeking the same answers. And also, I'm wanting to know where this self exists. Is it in the world of the immortals, or the underworld, or maybe within our bodies? Do you know the answer, or have you learned anything that offers an answer?
I'm not absolutely certain, but I have ideas that are supported by what others have said. The true self is the divine essence that unifies both the self that experiences the waking world and the self that experiences the world of sleep and dreams. Anaximander taught that the origin of all things is not a substance. Instead, it is the infinite, the apeiron, which is the primal origin from which all things come, the arche. I have interpreted this to be infinite potentiality. That would mean the divine and mortal worlds exist within infinite potentiality. Perhaps this is where the true self exists. Socrates believed the soul was immortal. At death, the soul separates from the body and goes to the transcendent world where eternal truths are found, and things are what they truly are. The true self is what defines a person's soul and is what a person truly is. He believed a person could understand their true self through introspection and personal growth. Plato believed everything originates from abstract idealized models he called forms. The animating principle that brought life to the world was the world soul. The world soul plays an intermediary role between the forms and the material world. Similarly, a person's true self is what determines how the forms manifest as a person in the material world. Plato and Socrates say a daimon exists between the divine world and the mortal world, and it guides the soul of a person. Other philosophers call this daimon the higher self. My experience is that the daimon is more than a voice. It is a higher self that is part of my true self. Aristotle believed the true self was the combined whole of mind, body, and soul. This complicates the question of where the true self resides, but I feel this is a valid description. He implies that the true self is the integration of these parts, although he believes intellect is the most important part.
Are you saying a higher self exists that is a divine integration of every true self in the world, and our true self is part of this higher self? And the higher self exists within infinite potentiality, which is a world where all worlds can exist.
Yes, that is a good summary. And my dream in the Enkoimaterion supports this. What are your thoughts about these ideas? Will you share your own ideas about the true self?
I've participated in many rites and rituals, and this has given me insights into the true self. I agree. The true self emerges from the many aspects of a person's character combining together as one. Intellect is important, but I have also seen that personality, temperament, beliefs, and many other traits have great significance. Each individual has an innate essence that constitutes their authentic self, and although this fundamental essence persists and maintains itself, it is shaped by the world it lives in. The development of the true self is affected by the experiences it has in the world and with other people. But ultimately, the true self has autonomy and has control over its identity and actions. The true self is what makes choices and is known by those choices. I know my true self exists, but I am unsure where it resides. It seems to be within my body, observing and experiencing everything that is perceptible, an awareness of the communion of the senses. It is also what is comprehending the thoughts and feelings I am having. I know there's more than this. I appreciate that you have given me ideas to think about.
I appreciate what you shared with me. You focused more on directly experiencing the true self as a way to understand it, while I have been more intellectual. You also have more experience with liminal spaces, while I can only visit the sanctuaries where the crossing between the mortal and immortal worlds occurs. I value the insights you shared with me.
I can do more than sharing my insights. I can offer you the opportunity to cross between worlds, if you're willing. The priestesses at Aegina create many potions, and I brought a special potion with me so I can perform a personal ritual here at Epidaurus. I wish to enter the liminal space between all worlds, and see them all simultaneously, as Hecate can. And I hope to benefit from the healing power of Asclepios, as you did during your incubation. You are invited to participate, if you wish to.
This is a rare and unexpected opportunity. Hecate protects the young, and I feel I can trust you. And this is the exact experience I would like to have. Yes. I would like to do the ritual together with you. Is there any preparation I need to do?
Do not eat anything, starting now. You may drink water. Meditate as you were instructed by the priests here and at Eleusis. Meet me at the Tholos tomorrow an hour before sunset. Bring water, and what you need to be comfortable. Let us leave now to return to our lodgings. I have preparations I need to do.
Back in his room, Nestor thought about all the things that had happened since Selene arrived and was astonished at how quickly their collaboration had advanced. He went through his belongings and set aside the things he would need tomorrow. It was getting late, and he laid down to think about what he hoped to gain from the ritual. Soon, he was asleep. The only dream he had was a vague and brief sight of two eyes looking at him.